edition, the Soft Dump in the Corner podcast, presented to you by North Six Sports. As always, joined by my fellow co-hosts, introducing the one and only Luke Pendleby.
What's going on? What's new and exciting?
That's all I get.
That's
I
all
give
you
you
get,
the
buddy.
best fucking intro I've
Yeah, you
given you
sound
in
like goddamn
39 episodes.
Bruce Buffer over here.
It was Bruce
I was ready
Buffer.
to knock someone through the
What's
front
going
door,
on? What's
but
going on? How you been? What's happening?
not much. Work's been busy. We're ramping up for the golf season. But yeah, nothing too crazy, just day to day. It just seems like days are just flying by, and I'm loving the warm weather too. Like we're getting some consistency of warm weather, and the snow is going. So, I mean, I'm excited. I mean, I can take the dog out without freezing my ass off. So, it is nice for a change.
Always a bonus when you don't have to put the slippers on the dog, eh?
Oh yeah,
I'm
he's
sure
got a
I'm
little
sure
jacket, but he doesn't need that anymore. He's rocking.
Oh yeah, I'm sure he loves
Yeah.
that. But yeah, and as you said, summer's right around the corner, and if you can just kind of get that smell right now, just yeah, I don't know if you smell that, but I smell playoffs, baby.
Yes,
Playoffs.
sir.
Playoffs. We
Playoffs.
have playoffs around the corner, folks, and ain't that far now, really, when you
I
think
know.
about it. I mean, we're middle of March here, March 17th. Generally speaking, you're about middle of April by the time that the playoffs start. Can't really remember if they have a set date yet. Is it April 18th, 19th,
It's usually
roughly?
around that
Give
time.
or take,
Yeah, the
regardless of
second,
what you
third
go.
week.
So drawn in close to 30 days, roughly, right? It's really exciting. The trade deadline has come and gone. We're going to talk about that as a whole. There's a lot of key headlines here too. Ovi watch the what do they call it? The eight chase, the great chase, the
The grade
GR8,
8 chase.
which is really cool. He's
Yeah.
now down to, as we
Obi.
stand here on
He's down
March
to 8.
17th.
Grade 8.
Sorry.
The grade 8's got 8 left.
He's got 8 left. 8 more. He's at he needs 894. So you do that math, right? He's
God
at
damn.
8 what?
God damn.
886 or so, whatever, 887 or whatever to do that there. So it's really great. I mean, if, as I said, we're looking at history in the making,
Mm-hmm.
which is damn cool. We've talked long and hard on that particular one. We will go into that when that does happen. Looking ahead, though, I know you and I were chatting, and I'm going to swing that way, that into a next conversation here about our Buffalo game. But
Yeah,
as
buddy.
we're chatting, we're mentioning about what day he might break it, or game in particular that he might do it. And I think you and I said the Friday night game in Chicago. I
In
believe it was
Washington.
game. Oh, it's in Washington.
Yeah.
Playing Chicago.
Yep.
I think it was game like 76 or something along the lines
Mm-hmm.
for Washington. We kind of guessed that was the pace. He's kind of behind that pace now a little bit. I was looking ahead today. They got a back-to-back against Columbus, and I'm just kind of sitting here in the back of my mind, like, do they really want Columbus to be the team? And I just thought about that. But what are your thoughts? I also just thought, do they play Arizona again the rest of the year? Because how sweet would it be
No
if
one
he
plays
scored
Arizona.
it?
They're gone, buddy.
Okay, so sorry, Utah. You're right. Hand up accountability on that one, folks. I made a
Utah.
mistake. If we made all the mistakes and wrote them all down there during the show, it'd be a longer editing list than it would be a show. If they
um,
play, do they play Utah to end the season here? The only reason I say that, the infamous Ovechkin goal, his arguably most famous, most recognizable goal of him early in his career. I believe it was a rookie goal of him sliding
mhm.
on his back, scoring that one in Phoenix while Wayne Gretzky was coaching. And I think that would just be a phenomenal storyline if he were to break it against Utah, but I don't think he
To
does.
confirm, they do not play.
Yeah, see, I was looking ahead. So Columbus could be the chance to see him break that. I think that was like game 78 or 77, 78. They got a back-to-back with Columbus. So, we'll see. That's not necessarily um, exciting matchup, but for the most part, I just want to see him do it really. I think this year to really do it. So,
Yeah.
I'm done mumbling about that, but I want you to tell everybody about, kind of the Buffalo lead there. We went down
Yeah,
to go see the
Buffalo.
so I'll let you kinda take that one over that.
Yeah, Jordo and I went down to Buffalo to catch an Oilers Sabres game on the Monday, and I didn't realize how close Buffalo was to us. Like for me, we were about an hour 40, and then unfortunately the border was pretty packed at the Peace Bridge. We were about 45, 50 minutes ish, but once we got through, we were rocking. Um, but like it didn't seem that busy. Again, it is a Monday night, but when we were walking towards the bars, like it just seemed a bit of a ghost town, and we were both kind of like, what's going on here? But when we got into these bars are jammed, like fucking filled with people. Like the earliest waiting list was probably 45 minutes. They said if you want, check the bars. It's first come, first serve at the bars, like pretty typical. A lot of places do. Um, but the first bar we went to, I was like, there was no chance of us even squeezing in anywhere. So we had to go over to the Labatt House, and luckily we found a spot on the ledge, and then we were able to get some drinks and food. But I'll be honest, it felt like we were in Edmonton. It was just jam packed of Oil fans, and it was a cool experience. And we saw a guy dressed up as Matthias Ekholm. It was so funny. He had all the gear on, helmet, everything but skates. But it was, and he looked like him too. It was like a double
Did he
take. You're
ever?
like, well, obviously Matthias isn't that going to dress up, go to a restaurant, but it's like, oh wow, that guy actually kind of looks like Ekholm. But and then fast forward, we get to our seats. He's 2 rows in front of us. It was so funny. And yeah, it was a good game. It's unfortunate the Oilers lost 3-2. We were kind of hoping for a win there, especially since Buffalo's near the bottom of the standings. Figured, the Oilers had a pretty good chance of winning that game. But I mean, when you don't show up till the third period, sometimes you just it's a little too late, and they couldn't get her done. But overall, I was back in my bed by midnight, so I figured the travel altogether and the experience, like I felt like wasn't too bad, and timing wise, like I was able to get to work at a reasonable hour the next day, so it was fun. I'd do it again.
Yeah, so my thoughts on it, I agree 100%. Like the drive itself wasn't too bad. Even as you just said there, I got back home. So for those listening, approximately an hour north, 45 minutes north, roughly at that time of night. Excuse me. I was able to get home by like 12:15. Right, so 7 o'clock puck drop in Buffalo. I was home by 12:15 that night.
That's really good.
Which was sick. Also too with the daylight savings time. I don't know if you knew, but like that was pretty nice to have because only a day after it
Hmm.
didn't even really hit. Like so, like I didn't really find truthfully that the time change was different. It kind of felt like we were home by almost 11:15 that night. Anyways, story goes on, but yeah, man, like Buffalo as a whole, like there wasn't much to it
Yeah, it was quiet, not
in
much
terms of
going
going
on.
downtown there. Pretty cool. You kind of get in, wheel in. We parked kind of close to the Buffalo Bison Stadium, the AAA affiliate team. I would have liked to go in and see that stadium, the
Yeah, that'd
baseball
be cool.
stadium. That was kind of neat. You can kind of see just from the top side there, but like I can kind of understand now a little bit more as to why people maybe don't gravitate to Buffalo. Maybe choose a couple other towns or cities within the New York State. But hey, you know what? As you said, the three bars that were there were rocking. They
We're
were. They
cooking.
truly were. A lot of orange and yellow, or a lot of orange and blue, excuse me. But it was a fun experience, and I always keep thinking, and I told people a couple people, excuse me. You go in and the mascot's up there and he's getting all excited. Boop, 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 boop. Let's go Oilers. Boop, 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 boop. Let's go Oilers. And
That
you're
was
looking around and you're
wild.
thinking, well, boy, am I in Alberta right now?
Uh,
No, no, you are in Buffalo's arena right now. So
Mascot's like,
um, it
motherfucker.
was pretty funny all around. But as I said, great experience. I thought the arena itself, cool experience as a whole. It's been a while since I've been to Buffalo's arena. I want to say close to 22 or 23 years ago was the last time that I'd been there. So that was kind of to something to see as a whole. It was a brand new experience, essentially. So, yeah, I thought they did all right, but certainly nowhere near some of the other arenas. And experiences and nightlife, if you will, or entertainment within the vicinity of the arena, I guess is a different way to say that.
One thing I didn't appreciate was my $16 sandbagger I fucking purchased.
Oh
Like, it's just like,
yeah, that's a
wow,
tough one.
$16.
The
Not even a
conversion
tall
rate
can.
sucks too, right? Because you got pegged on that. What were you, like, $20?
$25.
$25 for just a
Bend me
standard
over
size
dry.
sandbagger. No good. I told you you should have just went with the King beer like I did.
Yeah,
18 bucks for
my
base basically the three.
yeah, I should have.
Um, anyways, that was a fun experience for those of you listening, maybe in Ontario, close to. Take the trip down, go see your favorite team. You're going to save a significant amount of money. Um, we don't necessarily need to share the pricing that we paid, but for the price that we paid to go sit essentially 15 rows up from the ice, you're not even sitting in the 300s for an Oilers and Leaf game. So,
Mhm.
pretty good pricing. You could get in the arena as low as $16. So, yeah, take a chance, go and see that and get out for a little bit of a drive. It's a very easy drive, very easy process, parking, everything. So, kudos to that. I will give them credit there. Let's move on, shall we? Into a little bit more exciting news. The recap of the trade deadline, as we've pointed out, has come and gone as we maybe expected, maybe didn't expect. Mikko Rantanen, I don't think he expected to ever be traded in the first place, but I'm going to safely assume that I don't believe all of the cases were unpacked when he got to Carolina. As we found out, and I put it in short term phrase, he told Rod Brendamore or somebody along the lines, and Rod Brendamore, relayed this message from Mikko Rantanen, and I quote, "I have 4 teams that I would sign with, and you are not one of them." If you're GM, if you're a coach, if you're a fan, if you are Mikko Rantanen, like, what do you, from both sides, like, what do you do? What do you say? Right? Because from Tulski's perspective, as in GM Tulski Carolina, from Tulski's perspective, he made a swing and he risked it. And I appreciate that wholeheartedly. I've listened to multiple interviews, uh, specifically a couple of the ones that he's done in our market, Sportsnet and or Jeff Merrick, both really good interviews to listen to. Guy's wholehearted and honest, man. He's not going to give you bullshit. Like he's a kind. I don't mean in the wrong way. Kind of a little quieter, nerdier, shy kind of looking guy. Really smart, well spoken dude. I just, brutally honest, came out and just said, I tried, I wanted to go for it. I thought it was going to work out. From that perspective, like, what would you do? How, not being a fan of the team, for one, from an outsider's perspective, from a fan of hockey, do you think it's good or bad for the team? Do you think it's good or bad for the league? And do you think it's good and bad for the player?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation. I think a lot of people at the beginning of this was like, no one had Ransom being traded twice in 1 year on their bingo card, like not even a chance. And it's a tough look for Carolina, but I think at the end of the day, if they knew he wasn't re-signing there, I'm glad they were able to get pieces for him rather than, yeah, maybe make a run for a cup, not guaranteeing you're going to win, and then losing them at free agency where you're going to get absolute Zippo for him. They did get a young stud in Logan Stankoven. We've talked about him.
God.
We've talked about him a lot in the last few episodes. So being able to acquire someone that with high potential and can hopefully bring your team the next step, maybe not this year, but down the road, it's good. It just sucks that you're losing arguably a superstar in Mikko Rantanen going to Dallas, who is already stacked, who's looking really good. There were rumors I've heard from other
Stacked,
teams.
albeit injured.
What's that?
Stacked, albeit injured.
Yeah. Yeah.
Couple key pieces, Sagan out till playoffs at least, may not even come back early in playoffs. Miro Heiskanen out till playoffs. I mean,
Yeah.
Heiskanen I wouldn't be so worried about, but, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely injured, right?
Yeah. I mean, Is it good for the NHL? Depends on how you want to look at it. I think seeing a big trade in the deadline was good for viewers. I think a lot of people were
Mhm.
maybe keeping an eye on the phone. Now it's like, well, Ranton's being traded. Like, what else is going to happen? We'll get down the trade list here, but even like someone like Brad Marchand going to Florida, yeah, there was mumblings about maybe him being moved, but I'll be honest, I didn't think he was going to get moved. I thought he was a Bruin for life. He was the captain, heart and soul of that team, and I thought maybe I don't know, maybe thought he was going to find an extension with Boston, but it sounds like they couldn't, and they're going to be looking for a new captain. But at the end of the day, I like the big moves as long as, I mean, biased. I just don't want Tampa moving any big pieces. Seeing Stammer was already enough for me in the off season. So, no, I think it's good for the NHL, depending on what side you're on. But I thought the deadline after we said we weren't sure what it was going to look like after seeing the list. There were a lot of significant moves, I thought, and I was kind of excited to kind of see it.
I think we called it too that there's going to be some big names.
Yeah.
I think we left it off. I wouldn't say so much as called it, but I think I remember specifically you and I talking about just how it would be a lot more exciting if we did see some trades, right? It'd be a lot
Hmm.
more exciting if we saw some hockey trades, some real
Yep.
authentic trades, not just the rental trades consistently as we do. Of course, there were some rental trades, but like, you just brought up, a couple of those significant trades. Like Ranton's on a rental. He's there for 8 more years. He's signed. Um, Dylan Cousins to Ottawa. This is one that I love. If I'm an Ottawa fan, dude, I am just so happy. So happy. A, you're not really taking on unwanted cap, right? If anything, you're actually gained a little bit of cap space, I believe, out of that deal because I know Norris was making a slight bit higher than Cousins.
Yeah, and
Um,
JBD too, Bedard Docker as well. So yeah, it's probably
right.
less on Cousins.
Right. So
Yeah.
I'm sure you did open up some cap space. And in my opinion, you got the best player. So not only did you win cap space, but you actually got the best
Hmm.
player. He just fits so well for their team too. Big body, right-handed shot, not afraid to go to the dirty areas,
Yep.
not afraid to like, get in people's faces and grind it up a little bit, right? The workhorse from Whitehorse, my
Yep.
boy. I know I'm biased because I like the kid so much, and I always have liked him ever since he was in junior. World Juniors was a stud. I think this is a phenomenal trade for Ottawa. You
Yeah.
could see Brady Tkachuk was a little bit, distraught, and I'm sure maybe the organization being connected with Norris, with obviously being the big trade to bring him in, like he was the big piece in the was it the Carlson trade?
Yep.
Or yeah,
Yep.
it was
Yep.
the Carlson trade, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, like he was the big piece that came back. And like I said, man, he's such a good hockey player. I love Josh Norris as a hockey player. I will sit here and say there were two specific episodes of kind of season preview episodes, excuse me, that I was sitting there saying Norris, 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 and didn't own up to it. Right, whenever he's healthy, he's really good and produces,
Hmm.
but he's never healthy. And
Yep.
shocker, if you check the injury update, he's back again on the injury update. So
Yeah.
or
Weak shoulder.
and yeah, unbelievable. He's had multiple shoulder surgeries. So hopefully he gets healthy. Cousins to the moon in Ottawa, I hope. I mean, I really do think he's going to fit in extremely well, and he's shown that. I think he's now looking ahead in their future plans. He's going to fit very high in that. And I really do believe that a lot of players might even look at this and say, hey, I like what they're doing there. I'm going to go sign there or whatever, right? Like a couple years down the road, they're going to need somebody to take over Giroux's position. Like who's going to be the veteran that comes into that locker room, right? Because those kids aren't necessarily anywhere close to a 30, 35-year-old veteran yet. They're 23, 27 at most, like that range. So they got a
Hmm.
lot of growing to do, right? So they got a lot of room to sign those veterans, bring in those guys, and go from there. Speaking of veterans, Leafs, right?
Hmm.
What do you think of their trade deadline acquisitions? Scott the Ghost Lawton and Brandon Carlo. I will say I really like the Carlo deal. I think if on paper you wrote down five guys who would fit the perfect right-handed shot, gritty defenseman, he's got to be on that list, and I would say he must have been pretty high. unfortunate to see what Boston's doing personally, because I like Boston as the villain in the playoffs. I always do. Everybody loves the villain. Don't kid yourself.
You
But
gotta have
yeah, I
one.
mean, just Carlo's a tremendous fit, but that Scott Lawton deal, man, like I feel like maybe I'm watching a completely different game, but everyone seems to think, oh, he looks pretty solid. He looks good. He looks good.
Mhm.
I don't think he's done anything since he's gotten over there. I don't know if he's hurt. I don't know if he's uncomfortable. Maybe he's not playing the same minutes and he needs to establish a connection with Berube.
Yep.
I don't know, but I'll tell you right now, he's none better than what a fucking rookie would have been doing down there, or at least in my opinion, what an established, veteran winger or veteran someone that you could have
Yep.
gotten for a little bit cheaper. I'm not saying that getting him is the wrong move. Please
Mhm.
don't interpret that as me saying getting Scott Lawton on your team is going to not improve your team, because it does theoretically. It drops a fourth liner out of your lineup. That's what you
Yep.
want. Boom, check mark. What I'm trying to say though here is you're putting a lot of eggs in baskets that you just are starting to slowly run out of. And what I mean by that is you gotten rid of a pretty good prospect. I understanding he's having an off year, and I also understand he had NHL experience. You also got to understand he's what, 21 years old,
Yeah.
and maybe at most. He may
Yeah.
not even have had his final growth spurt yet, my
Yeah.
guys.
Seriously.
Right? Like, you 21-year-old, you better be damn sure that you're giving up a 21-year-old that's pretty well ready to turn pro hockey next year. You got to think Minton's going to be at least AHL next year.
Mhm.
You got to think that come next year, you better hope that Lawton's producing a decent clip at that rate and Minton's not playing in the NHL. I'm just saying that right now, because
Yeah, I
there's
know.
a decent chance that Minton makes that team in Philly next year. And if he does, you just never know.
Yeah. No,
He did go to Philly, right? It wasn't it a three-way trade?
no.
Lawton's was not a three-way. Okay, sorry, I'm
Minton
thinking of
went to
different.
Boston.
Sorry.
Minton went to Boston for
Okay, so
Carlo.
that's sorry, my bad. See
Yeah.
that's why I went off with. So Lawton was a first, and who went?
The kid that went
Oh,
forecheck, back check,
Grabankin.
paycheck.
That Grabankin kid. Okay.
Yeah.
So pardon me. So regardless of which, where I was going with that was the first with Lawton, and then also giving up Minton. So I was off on the sense, and I apologize that I was a little bit off on the run. I thought he went to Philly in that one. I thought
Yeah,
Grabankin
no.
went, regardless of which, irrelevant. Um, I'm just there's so much in win now mode that it's hard, and you're
Mhm.
running a little low on in the barrels and in the
Yep.
cabinets. And you look at what's happening in the Mitch Marner situation right now. Like, if he walks on July 1,
That sucks for
that's
Toronto.
gonna be a very interesting day of news. Don't you think?
Yep.
Because it's gonna be bad because you lose an elite playmaker and you lose, a guy that was a homegrown draft pick, a first rounder, highly talked about, sit there, name the list. You also don't overpay for a guy that we've seen just simply maybe doesn't have the playoff success. Great. He'll make you a better team in the regular season, and probably
Yeah.
ideally he'll help you for sure. And he might even drive you to the playoffs.
Yeah.
Sure. But I'm just sitting here saying, if I got an open $12 million now, and quite honestly, there's quite a few guys out there in the UFA market in the next couple of years, or you can sit there and say, realistically, I lost Mitch Marner out there. Maybe you sit there and you look at it and saying, I need to make another trade quick because I got to
Oh, yeah.
restock these cabinets. I got nothing.
Mhm.
How quick is the Leafs window closing? That's what I'm saying. Think of this. If Mitch Marner leaves on July 1, I'm sorry, Leaf fans, but your window is significantly smaller.
Oh, yeah.
And
Big
it's not
time.
because Mitch Marner's not there anymore.
It's like, how are you gonna replace that someone at that
You got
caliber?
nothing for it. So you
Yeah.
better be damn sure that you're offering him, because here's the thing now, and I know I'm rambling. You have to overpay now to keep him.
Mhm.
because you cannot simply match a no state tax team and just say, hey, Mitch Marner, we're going to give you random number. We're going to give you 7 by 12. Just throwing that out there. Well,
Yep.
if Utah or Minnesota, Minnesota's a no state, is it not?
No, it's just Dallas and Florida.
Dallas, Florida. Okay, sure. So Dallas and Florida. Let's just say somebody else that comes in with a little bit of a better deal, and they want to go over there. Like, who's to say he's not going to go and take that?
It's how loyal he is to Toronto. That's what it is at the end of the day.
Yeah, why the fuck would he be loyal to Toronto anymore?
No, I know it's the hometown thing, but no, I get what you're saying.
At that point, it's like, what are you doing here?
But that's what it
You are
comes down
playing
to.
hardball right now.
Yep.
Because if you just went all in on this and overspent for a guy that arguably is not going to be, in my opinion, not effective, and you end up losing in the first round again, what if not just Mitch Marner walking away is the worst thing that could happen to that team? Because what if now you sit there and Morgan Riley says, guys, I've given you everything. I've been the most loyal. I want to go home, or I want to go to a team that is closer to winning. Right? Maybe he sits here and says, I want to go to he's from out west, so maybe he says, trade me to the fucking Oilers. Nah, that would never. That's not a fit. That would never work out. Trade me somewhere home. Give me to go to Vancouver. Vancouver's a potential player. Maybe, trade me to Vancouver, whatever, right? What if all of a sudden this summer they got fucking $20, $30 million in cap space because all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we ain't winning here, and I think we've realized. So hey, let's unless there's anything you really kind of want to really dive a point onto there, I'd love to talk about that and further and really dive into that conversation and idea, because there's a lot of juice in that berry.
Yeah, no, there is a lot to lay out here, and I think what's going to end up happening, and I think Marner will sign in Toronto. In my opinion, it's just going to be an overpayment, and then we're going to go through the cycle of all the fans losing their shit. Which, I mean, that's going to be expected. That's no matter what Marner signs on the dotted line for, everyone's just going to be in a pissy match because it's Leaf fans, right? So we'll see.
Unless the cap hit is announced in not next year, but the following year, if it goes up more than the 8 or something, like we're expecting almost 15 million in the next 2 years.
Yeah. So that's a crazy increase
jump, for sure.
So we'll see what happens, but I don't know.
You got any winners or losers of the deadline to cap that chat off?
Yeah, I mean, for me, Dallas obviously boosting their lineup with Rantanen. I feel like that one's a given. No bias aside, I was kind of happy with what Tampa did. They just got Bjorkstrand and Gord. Have they been playing great? Not really, but I want to give them time, obviously, to kind of get them fitted in the lineup. A lot of people put Carolina as losers, but in my opinion, it's like if you knew he's not going to stay long term, you might as well get something for him now versus later if he walks and you get Zippo. And then you're really a loser if you don't get it. So,
not to mention too, just how poorly of a fit he seemed.
I know he seemed out of place.
Seemed like he was fitting in with that scheme, and that didn't work. I'm not saying that they didn't like him, and I'm not saying he didn't like Brendamore and the team as people. It didn't seem to work. He goes to Dallas. He's got 4 points in 3 games or something.
Another loser for me, which I was surprised, was the Red Wings. The only move they made was requiring Peter Mrazek. The fuck are they doing? I thought they you're kind of in that window of like, should I be competing and trying to get pieces to battle a playoff? But like at the end of the day, like if you're not choosing to do anything, why would you get someone like Peter Mrazek? I'm sorry, but Peter Mrazek is not very good anymore. And giving away Joe Veleno, I mean, Joe Veleno's been a rookie for 8 years.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. Fuck. I was like, that guy's been on a rookie card every
I
goddamn
know. So
years.
I don't know, like, if he's gonna like find his groove in Chicago, but like, I don't know if you want to jump right into Chicago since we're talking about it, but it's just a dumpster fire right now. I don't know what's going on. I know they're near the bottom. They're collecting pieces. I get it, but like, Bedard's having a tough time. He had back-to-back 10-minute misconducts. You can just tell he's just super frustrated out there. He has no one to play with. I just don't know like what you do in that situation in Chicago if you just continue to build and get more pieces or like from the drafts, or you actually look at like, hey, I got this amount of cap space. Like, let's put people here with Bedard and see him shine. I don't know what you do, but doesn't look like they're doing a whole lot to really help Mr. Bedard out.
No, it doesn't. And the one thing, not one thing, but I guess some of the things that stand out to me immediately is like, what was there before Bedard? Right? Not necessarily shit. I would argue
No,
they weren't terrible, to
no.
be very honest. They haven't been dead last in the last 7, 8 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It's only been, call what? Last 4, 5-ish
When
years.
you say 4
So if you've
years,
been bad for 4 or 5 years in a row, are you not expecting to hit on let's say you draft 5 players a draft class. Are you telling me out of the last 6 years, call it 7 years, 35 players, you're telling me you've hit on maybe, and don't even call Bedard a hit. If you
oh,
think,
that
"Oh,
a fucking
Bedard,
monkey
that was
could
a
pick that
fucking
out.
guaranteed number 1." How many players have they hit on? Frank Nazar, maybe? He was a number
Yeah,
what,
he's coming
12?
around. Yeah,
12 or 13th overall? Like, come
yeah.
on. How deep are you going?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Nobody's looking and going, Dallas Stars draft class of 2019 or whatever.
2018 is that the Ottinger,
Jake Ottinger,
Heiskanen,
Jason Robinson,
and
and
Heiskanen?
Miro Heiskanen.
Your
I'm sorry,
cornerstones.
what? You got the 3 main pillars in one draft in what, 2 rounds apart?
Yeah, probably 2 or 3
Come
rounds.
on, Chicago. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? Now, here's the thing that scares me, and I don't always mean to venture this direction. Who the fuck was in charge of Chicago? Look where he is in now. Edmonton. Doing stupid shit in Edmonton. So it's like, fuck, what are we doing, guys? What do we think's gonna change here? Like, I'll go on my rant on why I think Stan Bowman made some silly moves for the Oilers if we ever want to. But let's go back to the Blackhawks. Like, they
Mhm.
have a couple good hits, right? They overpaid for Seth Jones because they thought they were going to be able to get a competing team. I'm completely okay with them trading for Jones at the time and giving him the contract at the time. It was very similar to the Darnell Nurse thing.
Yeah.
Everybody,
Yeah.
Darnell Nurse and Seth Jones, ironically, now have almost a career path, like identical career paths. When you think about it, they're obviously different and drastically different. But like when you look at it, very similar. Darnell Nurse was a 7th, I think, or 7th overall, I think, overall pick. And and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Seth Jones ended up falling to 4. He was a
Mhm.
potential 1. Should have gone 2, should have gone 3. He fell to 4. I fucking wonder why. Like Yakupov when he shouldn't have went first, or when that other draft classes of all those other Puljujärvi fallen. Well, why do you think they? I digress. The Chicago Blackhawks need to figure out what they're doing with their prospects, and they
Yeah.
need to figure out their scouting
Quick.
because they have a very small window to get a good. They need to get a hit.
Yep.
They need to get a player 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I don't give a fuck. Last pick of the draft. Brock Purdy, this bitch. Get somebody in there that makes the team, and you don't need to pay them for it for the first 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they need to be that great, but you need more rookies making that team effectively. Right now, the rookies are on that team because there's nobody else to play there. There's rookies that are basically out competing the UFAs and the free agents that they brought there because those guys are 30 games in and they're fucking tuned out and they're like, you guys didn't trade me at the deadline? Fuck. And now they're like, I'm just here to play for 20 games, make my money, and then I'm gonna go sign somewhere else next year.
Yeah, I'm waiting for Lucas Reichel to kick in because he was a high draft pick too, and he hasn't really shown me anything.
Keep going to kill some time on this. I need to look up their draft classes quick.
No, that's yeah, absolutely. And it's like our Arch just farted again.
Oh, good one, I bet.
It was a good one. I'm surprised I didn't catch the mic. Anyways, yeah, like they have these like high end players that they've drafted. Like I forget the defenseman's name that they draft. I think second overall. He's another guy that has the high potential to run their blue line. The draft class this year, there is a few pieces. There's a kid that I've been watching near my work. His name's Porter Martone. He's supposed to go top 5 in the draft this year. Very offensive, very skilled. He's 6 foot or 6'1", but very talented on the offensive side of the ice. And I think he'd be a perfect fit in Chicago, playing with Bedard. And we'll see where it kind of lines in, where Chicago drafts. But he's supposed to go between 3 and 5 this year. He's got like 92 points in 60 games or something. He's had a good year. So, yeah, I'm just interested to see what happens, but they need to figure it out quick. And we've mentioned this before. The NHL is just not the same when Chicago's bad. And when Chicago's good, it's just good for the game, especially as an original 6 team. It would be nice to see them starting to compete again.
Yeah, and so I agree 100%. I love their jerseys, and I said that about Detroit Red Wings last night too. I was watching them play, and I'm like, that red jersey, man, and the
Sick.
pants, and that bright red just looks so beautiful, man. I'm looking at their list here, so let's just go back to 2020. I got Lucas Reichel was their number 1 pick, 17th overall.
Yep.
In 5 years, he's only played 157 games.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
They had their highest number of games played other than Reichel since 2020. Take a guess.
Who's played the most games on their roster or on like their draftees?
Of their draft classes. No, don't say Bedard either, because like that's an obvious. There's
Who's
only
played the
one other
most games?
player, and it's kind of not really high. So, anyways, my point being here, because it's tough to guess.
Yeah, I don't
There's
know.
been one player higher than 85 career games played since 2020 in their draft classes. The one kid, Wyatt Kaiser, has played 84. He's a defenseman. He was drafted in the 3rd round of 2020. Since 2020, the only other player to reach 85 games, and it's 85 on the nose, is Kevin Korchinski.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's it. Frank Nazar's only played 41. This is his central rookie season, but he was drafted in 2022. So even then, I'm just saying, like, they're not necessarily hitting
No.
guys. Like, they're really, really not, right? So when you look at Bedard and put this whole conversation in a wrapper, like, what do you have to look forward to right now?
Can you bring up the
There is
draft?
nobody else that's
I know.
standing out, and he's not taking a step forward. We're obviously gonna talk about a comparison's sake here in a moment, but he's not taking steps forward that not even elite high-level prospect, generational talents, like, forget that shit. He's
Yep.
not taking steps that NHL players take.
No.
Sorry,
Can,
you were gonna say something,
can
and
you
I cut
bring up
you
the
off.
Celebrini draft class?
The Celebrini draft class?
Yeah, I want to see.
I can. So that was what we were going to talk about. So let's just real quick, let's end end tonight. I think maybe unless there's anything else that you wanted to go, end this one on a quick little game, a little who would you rather? Because I
Yeah.
like this one. This is a fun one here.
Yeah.
Do you have the list up?
Yep. I can get it in like 2 seconds.
Did you want to go, or did you want to both go here?
Yeah.
Because
I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say them to you.
I'm bringing up this 24 entry draft here. So Celebrini, go ahead while you get your list ready. Celebrini went first, has played 56 games. Chicago drafted, and pardon me on the
Yeah.
pronunciation, Artyom Levshunov. He
Okay.
played 3 games. But he is currently playing with the AHL roster. Now he's as a 19-year-old defenseman, he's got in 50 games played, 5 goals and 17 assists. He's got 22 points as a rookie defenseman and 59 penalty minutes in 50 games as a 19-year-old.
Interesting.
That's something to look at. I will say let's keep an eye on this kid for
Yeah.
sure.
Who went 3, 4, 5?
3 was Seneke, Beckett Seneke,
He's looking
the
good.
Ducks.
He's looked good.
And they thought that he was
Where is he? Oshawa right
slightly
now or
higher.
Saginaw?
Pardon me, sorry?
Where is he playing right now in
He's
the O?
playing in Oshawa.
Oshawa, yeah, okay.
He's currently, as we sit
Sick
in middle
player.
of March, 54 games played. He's got 36 goals, 49 assists, 85 points in 54 games.
Yep.
So certainly developing the way that you would like to see as a high-end prospect. Anyways, capping out this. So 4, Caden Lindstrom, and 5, that Demidov to Montreal. And that
He
Demidov
is gonna
kid
be
is supposed to be
gross.
nasty.
Oh my god.
Montreal has a couple of really good players in their system, I believe, coming in the next few seasons here.
Yeah, he looks
Lane Hudson's
good.
was their second rounder in 22. He's finally playing. He's played all 68 games so far this season. And even playing the funny game here, Caden Gooley is the only player since 2020 in the Montreal rosters to play over 85 games. He's played 158. There is only other one player, Uri Slafkovsky. He's a number one. That does not count. You're expected to play. Montreal has less 85 game players than Chicago. So
Jeez.
you do the math. Anyways,
Wow.
what I wanted to bring up though very quickly was within that draft class. So you had a few players that you wanted to throw comparison's sake to.
No, I was just seeing like if Chicago missed out on anything, like because they did draft the defenseman, but
I
I'm
got you.
just seeing to see
So
what they could have missed out on.
yep, scrolling through. So the entire draft class. Ironically, Celebrini's played in 56 games. He's missed a few.
Yep.
The next highest number of games played, this is going to shock the shit out of you, was player drafted number 217th, Nikita Prishipov, 7th rounder to Colorado. That's
He's
just what Colorado needs. A hidden gem in the 7th rounder. Center
holy.
ice position. 6'1", 194 feet from Russia. Nikita Prishipov. Look out for that kid, apparently. He's got 21 points in 45 AHL games this year. He's played in 10 NHL games already. So he burned entry-level contract, which
Yep.
if you burn entry-level deal on a 19-year-old 7th rounder,
Yeah.
you must fucking like this kid.
Yeah, seriously.
Holy,
That's
you know what I mean?
crazy.
If you're burning entry level, if you're willing to pay and put a rookie 7th rounder on your salary when you're pushing for the Stanley Cup, I like that.
Yep.
I like
That is
that.
good.
Good for that
Good
kid.
for him, yeah.
Anyways, yeah, point being, so that Chicago, he has 3 games played. Philadelphia Jet Lushenko played 4 games. He's a
Yep.
Guelph kid.
He's in Guelph. Yeah, I watched him
Yeah,
play.
yeah,
He's
that
good. He's really good.
Luchenko kid. He's the only other. There's been 4 players in the draft class to play games this year, and Celebrini's leading, and he was 1-1. Number 2 is drafted 217th to Colorado. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9th last player drafted in the draft year.
That's
So
crazy.
you never know, kids. Put your nose to the grindstone. You make an impression, and you'll play. Especially with a team that is in absolute win now mode. They need anything and everything. You never know. But yeah, so sorry, you were asking about some players or something.
No, I was
The
gonna say
game, the game or something. Did you
yeah,
play
we'll do
that
the
game?
yeah, so it's basically the game is who would you rather build your team around? I'm gonna give you 5 sets of 2.
Are we building around Current day.
Current day.
Okay, cool.
So the first one, you don't have to give a long answer, just a quick explain. Celebrini or Connor Bedard?
Bedard's year has really not been impressive. I I like that they're both centers. I like that they both have elite shots.
Mm-hmm.
Celebrini can rip the shot.
Holy shit, I saw a couple.
Here,
Yeah.
yeah. Here's what I think breaks them down differently. I really think, okay, so here's my answer. I'm gonna go with Celebrini. Okay, so here's why. I really prefer to have the center ice position to have size for one.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Celebrini has the size. He's got the height and the weight over Bedard. Okay. I'm
Yep.
not saying that you can't be successful if you're a smaller center, and you absolutely can be. Bedard, I will absolutely give the hands, the vision, probably the touch type of deal. The reason why I want to go with Celebrini is I watch a lot of San Jose Sharks hockey now. And I thought to myself about a month ago, I'm like, why am I watching like so much? And why am I so invested into this kid? And I think the simple answer to break this down to and to finish this one here is he just does things that I don't expect him to do. I expect Bedard to go down and try and dangle and try and make a sick play and fancy whatever.
Yep.
I don't expect Bedard to see that he's got nothing on the rush to flip a puck in the corner and a 19-year-old take a fucking run at like Drew Doughty or someone and just run him into the boards and come out with the puck.
Yeah.
I'm like, this kid can forecheck in the NHL as a 19-year-old and hold his ground and still make plays.
Yeah.
I like that kid. Give me Celebrini. And I'm not saying Bedard's not going to be a good player, but I'm just simply saying he does the little things that I like as a hockey player. I love seeing dangles and rips and sellies and bar downs just as much as everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what I like seeing more? Wins. You
Yeah.
know who I like having on my team? Guys that want to win, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's long-winded. My next ones will be shorter, I promise.
Okay. The next one. These guys are a little on the older side, but I don't know. We'll just take him as he is now. Roman Yossi or Victor Hedman?
Um, especially, well, here's the thing. Roman Yossi's gotten absolutely screwed over this season.
Oh yeah, big
With
time.
the way that the team there has not come together. They did not gel the way that Trotz wanted them to. And I do believe that most of their players have taken a step back this season. Having said all of that, I still don't think I could pass Victor Hedman. I just can't. I think Roman Yossi is such a amazing player, man, and he skates better than Hedman, and he looks better than Hedman. He's
Man Rocket.
absolutely gorgeous human being out there. Plays every position well. I would argue he probably has a bit better offensive flair than Hedman does, truthfully.
Yeah.
But in terms of what they do side by side, apples to apples, it's so tough to argue that they're that drastically different of a player. I look at the defensive end specifically, and I just see Hedman not necessarily make the plays more. He just thinks the game, I think, a little bit quicker defensively and can just he forces the play in the defensive zone a little bit different from the offensive zone in,
Yeah.
if that makes any sense.
Yep.
He makes the offensive players in their zone have to work around him a little bit differently. Whereas I don't believe offenses go into the Nashville zone thinking the same way. How do
Yeah.
I stay away from Yossi in the defensive zone? They certainly see them apples to apples in the offensive zone. Everyone knows Yossi's a threat. Everyone knows Hedman can be a threat. But I truly believe when you see the little sticks in the lanes and the little stick taps and just like, when shots are coming in from the point, Hedman's tying up the guy's stick in front so he can't get a deflection. Like there's so many minute things that go on in a game. And
Yeah.
I just, yeah, Hedman for sure. I
Good.
just couldn't pass him up, especially the way he's playing this season.
Good choice.
Yeah, I know you like that one, but it's just like, here, put the
um,
drool away.
this is 1 sec. This one's gonna be interesting. I'd like to know your take on this one. Luke Hughes or Lane Hudson?
Mm, I I don't know. It's really tough because again, here we go with the size thing for sure. Luke Hughes has what, probably 4 or 5 inches on Hudson.
Yeah, I don't
Gotta
know.
gotta be close
It's gotta
close
be
to
close.
4 inches, 3, 4 inches, I bet. Because Luke Hughes is the tallest of the brothers, and he's got them by like 2 or 3 inches.
Yeah.
So that's the thing there. So offensive flair, you got to look at. I don't think either of them is an offensive dynamo. I think people think of Hudson as an offensive defenseman. I don't see him as an offensive defenseman. I see him more of like a Lamar Jackson. He's like a scrambler in a football quarterback. He's not a field general. He's not going to sit in the corner or the pocket and just toss dimes and just stay in the pocket like a pocket passer, like a Manning or a Brady or whatever. He's
Mm-hmm.
more of like a scrambler. Like he's a Michael Vick. He's a guy that's just going to be a water bug out there and move the puck around, be extremely agile. He to me again, I'm fucking talking about a 19, 20-year-old here. I'm not saying he cannot turn into an offensive threat. And don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, that kid's got what, 50 points as a rookie defenseman or something like
He was
that.
my Calder choice too at the
Yeah,
beginning.
like
Looking
I'm
good.
trying hard not to shit on the kid because I don't think I am. I'm
No,
just simply
no.
saying as a whole, the way that he skates, the way he can create space is very different than Luke Hughes. Now, when you
Yeah.
watch Luke Hughes, it's like watching a giraffe on skates. Like the guy just
He's lanky.
strides. Like he's very effortless. And I don't think he's grown into his body yet either. I think probably by next year, maybe 27 season, he'll probably have that like man body where he's got the muscle on the muscle and can understand how to do that. So I think physically maturing body wise, both of them still have a ways to go. I really do believe right now, I really love Hudson. I do. I think I'd go with Hughes.
Yeah.
I do think I would just take the body of work that I think can grow into it.
Hmm.
I'm on that one. I'm kind of going on potential.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. Um, Connor Hallebuck or Andre Vasilevsky?
I hate to be so simple and honest on this one, but I would take Hellebuck.
Yeah.
I would take the trust and I know and I'll be the first to sit here and say I've talked poorly about how Hellebuck has not proven it yet. I will take the body of work of a goaltender that's just playing far and above beyond any other goalie right now. We are
Hmm.
talking today, modern day.
Yep.
Connor Hellebuck, in my opinion, is the best goalie in the league and almost the best player in the league this year. So, I, game one,
Yeah.
no matter what, I'm still taking Hellebuck over Vasilevsky, despite knowing what Vasilevsky can and will do in the playoffs.
Yep. No, for sure. For sure. And the last one. Nathan McKinnon or Connor McDavid?
Sorry, I just gotta
Oh.
focus up here. Okay. McKinnon does so many things more than McDavid that I like as a hockey player.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like McDavid doesn't, he does, but he doesn't. He doesn't have that dog that like get the puck back. Like Nate, when he's pissed off, you know it
Clear
because he's out
eye. Get
there and
away.
he will throw 5, 6 hits a game, maybe
Yeah.
more.
Yeah. He's
When McDavid's pissed off,
psychopath.
he's not going to bring a level of intensity and physicality, but what he can do is go from here where everyone else is already down here in the NHL and somehow raise that level even more, which is
Yeah.
like how? Like you look at the goal he scored in the Stanley Cup Finals, game 5, game 6, whatever, where he split 3 guys. Whoop, whoop, whoop. backdoor to Corey Perry tap in. That is a level of raising your game beyond where you've already raised it to.
Yeah.
But I also believe too Nate can do that. But here's the thing, right now in particular, Nate's having a far superior season.
Yep.
Absolutely. God forbid McDavid's 1.4 points per game. He's still going to finish with 110
Terrible.
points. And we're saying he's had an off season.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can use that in negotiations next season and get him down a couple $1 million. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, right now, it would be awfully tough for me to pass up on McDavid because I'm looking at the Stanley Cup playoffs and I'm saying McDavid has done nothing but prove he's a playoff performer as much as Nate has. But for me personally, I know Nate won it, but if you put McDavid on the team that Nate won it on, they might have went 16-3 or 16-4.
Yeah.
They may
Yeah.
not have lost they may have swept 2, maybe 3 series that year.
Yeah.
I know they swept the Oilers. I mean, fuck me, right? Like they swept the
Yeah.
Oilers that
Yeah,
year.
they swept
But
the Oilers.
they swept the Oilers and they won 3 games, I think, by 1 goal
Yeah.
or something like that. It
Yeah, it was
wasn't
close.
like a blowout of a series you may have thought. Like 2 games weren't as close, but that's it. I think 2 games I think were 1 goal. Anyways, long story short, so I would still go McDavid very reluctantly. That one is like I don't like that question.
If before we wrap up here, what do you've got? A little early finals predictions in the Stanley Cup.
Early finals predictions. I have Colorado coming out of the West this year. I have Colorado beating Dallas in the conference final, actually. I had the Oilers losing to Dallas as of right now. I mean, obviously the standings can jump around, but I got them losing to Dallas in the second round. If that, I just got a feeling that's how somehow it'll work out that way. Excuse me. And the East is tough, man. Like
I know.
If Florida can be healthy, I really do see Florida coming out of it. If Tampa Bay plays Florida in the first round, I think Tampa will win.
I hope so.
I really do.
I'm nervous, but I hope so.
If Florida plays like Toronto or if Florida plays Ottawa or somebody like that doesn't have the experience, that doesn't have that win, like I don't see it. But you put Tampa in the mix where there's fucking 50 Stanley Cups across the dressing room, close to it. Maybe I'm
there's
ballparking
probably
that
a
number.
ton though.
It's probably close to that. Right? Like that's a different perspective. I don't think they would be overly like they don't look starstruck, I guess, for lack of better terms, or they wouldn't be, in my opinion. So
Yeah.
I think if you're Florida, you want anybody but Tampa. But truthfully, dude, I if you're asking me to just pick 2 teams, I think Florida, Colorado, and I think Colorado wins in 6 at home.
Ooh.
Because Florida will have home ice.
Yeah.
You?
It's hard. I still think the Oilers are coming out of the West. I think they're going to turn it around in the playoffs.
I want them to.
I know.
And if I would have said
they will.
that, it would have been biased as hell. But
I know.
There's literally 5, maybe 4. There's probably 4 teams, maybe 5 teams, in my opinion, who are true Stanley Cup contenders. We might lose. You're going to lose 2 in the first round. You might lose 3 in the first round.
It just this whole
Thanks, Gary.
Yeah, fucking playoff format sucks ass.
Gary.
Way to go, Gary. Anyways, I have a rematch of last year. I think it's Florida. I can't see Florida not being there.
If we get a rematch, I would love that. I really would.
Would you want to go?
Yeah, well, I will this time for sure because I didn't last time, and I'm glad that I didn't because I would have had a great time, but I would have been
It would have been very
miserable,
disappointing. Yeah, that's a
even
tough
more
one to eat.
miserable. Yeah, that'd be great. We'll see. I wouldn't like that because I think we'd lose again though.
Yeah.
But anyways, let's jot this one up.
Yeah.
We will touch base here with a playoff preview here very shortly. Recap of a final stretch for awards, that type of fun stuff. But we'll come back with a little bit more as we get to the playoffs in terms of what we're expecting and how this year kind of went out. If it did, surprise us in any way, that type of deal. But this is where it gets exciting, everyone. Like we have OV Great Chase. It does Great Chase sounds kind of childish,
The
but the
grade 8
Great Eight
chase.
Chase, I mean, that like we're watching NHL all-time history going down here. So just watch as much Washington Capitals hockey in the next call it 2 weeks that you possibly can because you do not want to miss this. I'm telling you, it is not as fun. It is not as exciting as a fan to watch it on your smartphone in a 30-second clip. Oh, Ovechkin breaks history. No, you want to watch that shit while it's happening live. Where were you when moments are so much better to talk about with friends and family. So just go and do that. Watch them while you can because it's only going to
Yeah.
happen once. I don't think that'll ever be broken. So
We should go. God damn it. Like that Chicago game is just like circled. Like
that was Columbus games at the end of the year. I was looking today, $100 to go into the 200s right now, and I'm telling you, at this time of year, teams start to get a little bit better defensively. They tighten up a little bit, right? Right?
ugh.
You sometimes you just grip the stick a little bit. Maybe they hit a post, whatever. Teams aren't pulling their goalie late in the game as much to try and tie it because they want to get better draft position. They don't want to win and
Mm-hmm.
get more points. You never know, folks. You just don't know. But hey, you know what we do know is that we'll be back for episode number 40, folks. That's a long ways in, when you look back from where we
40.
started. So, hey,
40.
hey, what do you say? We call it a day and we take this away with a song by the Birds, Ole Ole.
He's
And
fucking
that's
end it.
another episode of the Soft Dump in the Corner
Yikes.
podcast presented to you by North Six Sports. Luke Pendlebury, take away the outro.
Thanks, everybody. Once again, powered by North Six Sports. We just got our hockey cards in. There's me, Otto, looks sharp as hell. One
I
of
don't
one
have
of one. So, yeah, pretty stoked. But yep, this is the end of an episode. We'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.
Love it. There was actually, did you have the YouTube video open?
No.